Hi everybody, I'm really excited to be here today at GopherCon. Today I'm going to talk to you about Go reliability and durability at Dropbox. Thank you so much for having me. So right now I manage the code workflows team, so I lead that team, and like Eric said, I'm responsible for the experience of writing Go at Dropbox and the other languages that we have as well, that includes all of the tools that you use, your experience shipping to production, managing exceptions, writing tests, all of those things. So it's pretty big scope. It's also pretty new for me, but I'm really passionate about making it a great experience for every single engineer. And before that, I led the storage team. So this is the databases team and also Magic Pocket, which is our block storage team. So I was responsible for looking after reliability and durability of metadata and also block data at Dropbox. That was a really exciting opportunity too, and I did it for almost 2 years, and I've had a great time working on production systems at Dropbox, and now doing code workflows is going to be an interesting experience of how do we make that even better. You can follow me on Twitter as well. It's just @TammyBudo. So I wanted to share a little bit about Dropbox scale. We have over 500 million users, 200,000 business customers, also enterprise customers. We have over 500 petabytes of user data, and we have a multi-exabyte Go storage system, which is Magic Pocket. So that's pretty exciting. Really fun to work on, and one of the reasons I decided to join Dropbox because I love the idea of having 500 million customers, especially coming from Australia where our population is like much smaller than that. And I grew up in Sydney, and there's like 4 or 5 million people, but having 5 million users, and the majority aren't actually in the US. So that's been really exciting and cool to figure out how do we build great systems for them. So I wanted to start with the hopes and dreams of Go from quite a few years back. Back in 2012, Rob Pike shared this talk and wrote up a paper as well about the desire for Go to solve a range of different issues. We were hoping that Go would make it easier to deal with these problems, like slow builds, uncontrollable dependencies, each programmer using a different subset of the language, poor program understanding, duplication of effort, the cost of upgrades, version skew, difficulty writing automatic tools, and cross-language builds. And I think this is a really good list to look at, actually, because I'm going to share with you what we've had, the experience that we've had at Dropbox working through this. And I also really like this quote from in the paper. So Rob said that the big reason Go is great is because it enables you to engineer large software projects, and that's exactly what we've done at Dropbox. We have some of our largest systems written in Go. So what were our dreams for Go? Why did we decide to start using Go back in 2013? We wanted to be able to build reliable systems. We needed them to also be secure. We wanted to be able to bake reliability and security into our design from the beginning. And we wanted to create a system that provides annual data durability of 12 nines. We also needed to create a system with availability of over 99.99% for our customers. So that's a pretty big ask to be able to build a system that does this and to have a language that could help us do that. So what did we do at Dropbox? Well, now most of our Dropbox infrastructure is actually written in Go. From 2013 to now, that's been a really big change. We have over 150 Go contributors at Dropbox to our server repo, and we have around 500 engineers at Dropbox across product and infrastructure, but the majority of our infrastructure team are writing Go. We have over 1.3 million lines of Go at Dropbox right now, which is pretty impressive and exciting to me as well. So what are some of the benefits of Go at Dropbox? For us, it's really easy to be productive in Go. That's what everybody says. They enjoy the experience. Now that I'm leading code workflows, the Go engineers are pretty happy. They don't have key things that they like me to fix. They're actually really happy, and it's more about making that an even better experience. Many of the teams are starting to actually build Go services for other teams to use. We've made a lot of services in Go, and we haven't yet rewritten those into a different language, so I think that's like a good thing to know as well. We like the solid standard library, and the debugging tools work pretty well out of the box, mostly. I'm going to talk about that a bit later too. So here are some of the systems that we've built in Go. There are so many different systems, but I thought I would just give you a few of them and describe them a little bit. One of them is called RAT, which is for rate limiting and throttling. Another is HAT, which we wrote in-house from scratch to replace Memcache, and that's widely used right now. We have AFS, which we wrote as a file system to actually replace Global Zookeeper. We have EdgeStore, which we're using for metadata. It's our distributed database. We have Bolt for messaging. We have DB Manager, which is for automation of over 6,000 databases. We do a lot of self-healing and different things like that. We have small teams as well, so we don't want them to have to do a ton of on-call. We'd prefer it if you only have, maybe one page is your typical week or less, and definitely under 20 pages in a week. So we try and do a lot of automation. Jetstream as well. That team works heavily with Kafka, and Telescope, Search, and also block routing, which is for Magic Pocket. But there are so many more. This is just a small list of the services that we have that are written in Go that different teams are working on. And you'll see here, many of these, they're written from scratch, actually, this list right here. But some of them are when we've had a different system and we've decided to replace it and build something in Go. So I wanted to share, how do we end up with all of these different services or systems that are written in Go? There are a few different stories and ways that came about. One of them is actually Hack Week at Dropbox, which is in 1 week. So it's going to be very exciting to see what we build in Go in 1 week, because we've had a lot of services come out of Hack Week. So the Hack Week basics are you get 5 days of hacking, and we throw fear and failure out the window. So you're really allowed to work on whatever you want. We say that there's no meetings for the entire week. You can just hack on anything, no rules at all. Do whatever you would like, work with whoever you want, and just see what you would like to create. So I wanted to share RAT, because RAT was actually a Hack Week project. At Dropbox, I'm an incident manager on call, so I have to have a very good understanding of all of the infrastructure at Dropbox. I need to know all the different teams, all of the services we have, the different types of failure modes that might occur, and I need to be able to try and resolve issues really fast, like within minutes, or route to the right team. So if there's a high severity incident, we would call the highest a Sev 0, or a Sev 1 is the next level. Then I would get paged, at any time of the day or night, and I would have to be able to try and figure out what to do. Luckily, I often never get paged, which is great. But we thought, out of doing this, and being an IMOC, we could see that there was an opportunity to improve rate limiting and throttling. Many of the teams had written their own code to do rate limiting and throttling. But we had a few email threads going around saying, it would be so much better if we had a service to do this. Then I would be able to look at RAT and think about what kind of improvements we could make. We would be able to monitor RAT and know what was going on, if RAT existed. And then Bashar said, well, I'm just going to build it during Hack Week. Why not? I'll just make it, and then I'll share it with everybody. And that actually totally worked out well. So he did the initial prototype with one other engineer in 4 days and wrote it in Go from the start. He then did a demo on day 5 of Hack Week. So basically what we do is we just you put up your computer and you show people, they walk around, and it's kind of like an expo. And he showed everybody that he'd created RAT, why, what problems it would solve, and how he'd done it. And then it was approved for us that we should continue to work on it. He single-handedly got it into production and set it up, and it's really exciting that that happened. I wanted to share too what happened after Hack Week, because getting a service into production is like building it, designing it, making it reliable and durable from the beginning is the start, and then getting it into production. But for us, we also need to make sure that other teams decide to use it too, and we have to try and onboard customers. So I got this email after Hack Week where somebody wrote to me, and they know that I like Go and that I have an understanding of the different services we have at Dropbox. So someone wrote to me from a different department and said, hey Tammy, James is working on a project to update our throttler, and it appears there is already an implementation in Go. He'd like some information on how we interface between Python and Go. Do you know who may be the best engineer for him to reach out to? Thanks. I was like, lucky you, totally chat to Bashar. He worked on rate limiting and throttling for Hack Week, and it's called RAT. And this was probably a few weeks after Hack Week, and it was already working, so it's pretty amazing. And Bashar wrote back straight away and said, I'm happy to chat anytime. Feel free to drop by or set up some time on my calendar. And that's really how we've seen the adoption of these services that we've built in Go across Dropbox. It's just from people hearing about them and thinking that they would be really easy and good to use, and then people start using them and have a great experience. So now there are several teams across Dropbox that happily use RAT. And this is from Hack Week last year to now. So that's why I said I'm really excited to see what happens next week when we do Hack Week. Another service that I wanted to talk about is DB Manager. So we have a few Dropboxers in the audience as well, and they'll know Slava. And I think everyone should follow Slava on Twitter too. He's really great. He's been a Go engineer for a long time, and he was on my team, on the databases team. When he started at Dropbox, he looked at the tools that we had for managing the databases. There are 6,000 of them. And he thought that it would be really handy for us to build a DB Manager tool in Go because of a few reasons. It would be safe, reliable. It would help us to make sure that we could be sure that every single action it was taking was correct. He also built a web UI really easily for other teams to be able to quickly view it when they're on call so they can know what's happening with the database. And the reason you want to know this is if there are 6,000 databases and, for example, we do a lot of self-healing and different actions just automatically happen at any time of the day. So we might have a database replica and it might fail, and then we might want to kick off a clone and then have that put back into the cluster. Or we might do a promotion where we have the replicant move to become the primary, and that's automated too. So having DB Manager is one place where you can see, has anything happened with the databases right now? That's pretty handy. And then he built a lot of tools to push that information to different places too, which is really great. So he built that, and he's the tech lead for databases. He also runs the Golang show, which is very cool. It's in Russian. And if you can understand Russian, then you can check this out. But yeah, they post and share it every week, which is really awesome. So I wanted to give a shout out to that. They've been doing this for a long time, and I love that Slava is sharing back with the community the Golang show. So definitely check that out. So now let's talk about Magic Pocket. So Magic Pocket, or we call it MP because people don't like to say magic all the time. I like to say magic, I don't know, I think it's cool, is our in-house multi-exabyte storage system. Data is erasure coded and stored across multiple geographic regions with a wide degree of replication to ensure protection against calamities and natural disasters. And I put up a diagram here. So the idea is that we have a pocket, which is, we have these 3 zones, west, east, and central. And so when I was leading this team, the Magic Pocket SRE team, we were trying to think, well, Magic Pocket's like super reliable, it's extremely durable, and when you onboard new people, to actually learn how to look after Magic Pocket if something goes wrong is hard, because if you're shadowing someone on call, maybe there's like 1 page a week and it would be maybe more of a warning alert, but you're not actually going to see failures occurring. Magic Pocket's really awesome. So what we needed to do was think, how do we actually create failure so that people could experience what failure was like, but make it safe at the same time? So we started to do a lot of disaster recovery tests. So with Magic Pocket, what we actually do is we'll do a disaster recovery test by failing over an entire zone. And we can lose a whole zone and it's fine. It's pretty amazing. We can actually lose even more than just 1 zone. So let's talk more about that. How do we build Magic Pocket to be so reliable and durable? Magic Pocket was originally written as a prototype in Python. And then we decided that we would write it in Go after that. So James Cowling, he's the engineer that decided to join Dropbox to build this. He wanted to be able to build this from scratch. We used to use Amazon, so we had all of our block storage in S3. He joined Dropbox and thought, well, we can build Magic Pocket and we can move all of our data into our own block storage. So that would be pretty cool. So we had to grow it, though, from a double-digit petabyte prototype to a multi-exabyte behemoth in the span of 6 months, which is a pretty big feat. And this required us to spend a lot of time thinking, designing, and prototyping to eliminate the bottlenecks we could foresee. For me, this is really important. To be able to build reliable and durable systems starts from the very beginning, and you have to do it from then. Otherwise, it's just going to be too hard. There were plenty of examples of unforeseen requirements, and James has shared those. We've got a lot of blog posts that we've written and videos that you can look at as well to learn more about Magic Pocket. But one of the examples was that traffic grew suddenly, and we started to saturate the routers between our network clusters. This required us to change our data placement algorithms and our request routing to better reflect cluster affinity, along with available storage capacity, cluster growth schedules, etc. And eventually, we had to actually change our inter-cluster network architecture altogether. So we made some pretty big calls, like rewriting it from Python to Go was a big call, and then actually thinking, oh, we have these problems, we need to change this, was a really big call too. But you just have to do it, right? Now, MP's been in production for over 2 years. It's going really well. We continue to perform regular automated chaos engineering exercises, as well as disaster recovery tests. So we actually automatically take down nodes. We just take down a bunch every week on 2 days of the week. We started with 1 day a week where we take down a rack, and then now we actually take down racks 2 days in the week. And Magic Pocket's completely fine with this. Magic Pocket team don't even need to get notified or anything like that. It's just going to be fine. And the team's continuing to build new features, new functionality. That's what we're thinking of for the future of Magic Pocket. We want to make it even better and think of what can we do. But I can't share that yet because it's more secret. Now I wanted to share, how do we onboard new engineers? We've got a lot of Go services, and it's really changed over the last 2 years since I started, so I wanted to explain this as well. When everybody joins Dropbox, you first do this very practical onboarding exercise. We recommend that you do some initial readings of our infrastructure topology, code reviews, our Go style guide, and our protobuf style guide. It's really interesting because when I first started at Dropbox, I asked, am I allowed to write this exercise in Go? And my mentor said no. I was like, what? And now everybody writes it in Go. Every single engineer that joins infrastructure writes this exercise, the onboarding exercise, in Go from the start, which is pretty cool. And we do have a few things, though, that we'd say. If you know Go externally, it might take you a while to ramp up here because we might do things differently. And it's hard to write fast and race-free Go code. So everyone just needs to be really careful and think about the design and think about what they're doing. And we heavily rely on code review and asking other engineers to help you design really good systems. So we get people to write a simple Go service. This is what we do for onboarding. It's an App Store backend that will store information about developers, email address, name, and also applications like application title, description, and the corresponding developer the application belongs to. You can see here, this is what it ends up looking like. We also use Bazel for build. So we have our Go files, our test, main, and utils. Then we build the code. So we use Bazel, like I said, to build our infrastructure code. If you haven't heard of Bazel, at Google it's called Blaze, and then they open sourced it. And this is what we use now. We recently moved to it, actually. It's pretty new for us. It was just this year that all teams moved over, and we use it for all of the code at Dropbox. And we've created some crash courses to help engineers learn how to create new Go targets. And you just run bzlgen, which is our internal wrapper, and then build. Next up, you have to test the code. So we give recommendations to everybody about how to do testing at Dropbox. And this is from Zviad, who's actually written a lot of the Go services at Dropbox. He wrote the initial Edge Store, MDB, Xlog. He's done so many different systems, HAT, and he's been at Dropbox since 2011. So he says, now that you've written some code, make sure it compiles and builds, and it's time to write tests for it. At Dropbox, all our infrastructure services have very fast release cycles, so we depend heavily on automated tests to increase our confidence for performing production deployments. We use the command Bazel test, BZL test, for all our testing. For integration testing, all our test rules allow you to specify what services must be brought up before tests are run. And Zviad's done a lot of talks too, which you can check out. One of the big things he always says is start using Go by rewriting one of your core systems in a new language. That's what he's really big on, instead of doing something small. So he took metadata at Dropbox and he created Edge Store in Go. That was the big one that he did. And this is what testing looks like. So you would write your DBX Go test, name, sources, dependencies, services. Then you create your appstoretest.go. we tell everyone, just use the standard Go testing library. That's pretty good. And then run your unit tests, make sure that they pass, BZL test. And then you land it. Now you've got your application code and your simple tests for it. You commit it, you get it code reviewed, and you land it in our server repo, which is our big repo for everyone. So that's for onboarding of engineers that have written in many different types of languages, every single engineer that joins Dropbox for infrastructure. What about onboarding people that have come from boot camps like Hackbright or other boot camps, interns from university, new grads, role transfers? Everyone does the same onboarding. Everybody learns by building and shipping a service written in Go. And the only thing that really changes is the speed of completion for the exercise. So usually an experienced engineer that's written in a different language that comes to Dropbox will write it in about a week, and other people would take a bit longer. But everybody always says that they love this exercise. It's a great way to learn about Dropbox. You're building something real, you're putting it into production, and then you can actually go from that point and create your own services. It's a pretty nice transition. Interns just say funnier things like, I tried to Google Go and it didn't work. And they come to me and say that. But then they're funny too. They say, it's like the time I tried to learn about cookies, but I couldn't Google that either. Which I like that. They're really funny. We help ramp up interns through lots of mentoring. I also started running this thing called Hack Night for interns, which I ran this week, which is where they often say these funny things. But it's nice because we just get them to come to Dropbox in the evening actually and just hack for fun on whatever they want. And this is really cool to see them do this because they learn a lot really, really fast. And they do a great job. And often it might be something like, I'm trying to do this and I don't know. And they say, and someone else will say, oh, just run this one command and you can figure it out. And they're like, boom, like that saves me hours or maybe even days. So it's nice to encourage that collaboration. So what's next for Go at Dropbox? So we have 15+ teams running Go services at Dropbox right now. Our teams are pretty big, 10 to 12 people each. We recently did a Go upgrade for all services from 1.5 to 1.6. We're going to skip 1.7. And we won't allow 1.8 till everyone is on 1.6 so we can free up testing resources to qualify and maintain 1.8. This is my whole new world now in development infrastructure too. So it's pretty exciting. But we really want to make sure that we have everyone on the same version because it'll be much better for us. And we're going to go straight to 1.8 next. So how do we do these upgrades? I know sometimes people wonder about this. Like, how do you do an upgrade across a company where there's maybe hundreds of engineers? We don't have hundreds of thousands of engineers, so it's not super complicated, but Dropbox is a pretty great place. So what we did was we had Jules, who was on my team, on the databases team, actually run this upgrade. So she sent out to everybody and said, hey, like everyone needs to upgrade from 1.5 to 1.6 by the end of April. And that was it. We wrote it in Dropbox paper, we shared it, she had a list, she'd written a script, pulled out all the services, and some teams have multiple services that they run. And then we said, can everyone just write down when you've done it and let us know? And if you need any help, just comment on the Dropbox paper and we'll help you out. And everyone was able to do that, which is really cool. It was a super smooth upgrade, so I'm excited for when we do 1.8. We didn't have any issues. It's more that we just need to do it, so that's great. But what are the difficult times with Go? There are some difficult times, so I thought I'd better share that as well. So race conditions in Go is something that we do talk about. We do find that data races in Go are the hardest bugs for everyone to be able to debug, spot, fix. We have a few engineers who are very good at spotting and fixing data races, which is very helpful. A lot of the staff engineers and principal engineers. And we think that the data race detector won't always help. It's a best effort, so it's good to tell people that. Like, it is nice to have the data race detector, but don't 100% rely on it. And all engineers really need to think carefully from the very beginning through data accesses. You need to really think about your data accesses from the beginning, from when you're designing your service. That's super important. So I just thought I'd put up quickly an example of a data race, which you can see here. This data race can lead to crashes and memory corruption. A data race occurs when two Go routines access the same variable concurrently, and at least one of the accesses is a write. So this is something that obviously is very bad, and we need to make sure that we're always on top of. So we hire engineers who care about reliability and durability. This is like actually how it helps us to build really great, reliable and durable systems. I know that that might sound different or interesting, but it's actually super important. We interview for this. So when we're doing interview questions, we ask people about their experiences with reliability and durability, and we ask them how they've designed systems in the past. And some people will they actually seem like they don't really care that much about durability, but then it's not really going to work well for us because we care so much about durability. So that's a very important thing for us to have people that join Dropbox that do care about it. We're also going to continue to use chaos engineering. So we'll use chaos engineering at Dropbox for many, many years into the future. We think it's very important. We have our chaos days. We also have teams that run their own chaos engineering tests. We also do disaster recovery tests. This has been very helpful for us, and like I said, with Magic Pocket, it's important because there just aren't many issues that go wrong. And for me, chaos engineering and disaster recovery tests are important for not only making sure that your system is more reliable and is more durable, but you need to be able to make sure that everything works well all the time, alerting, monitoring, and that if new people join, they have very good understanding of your system. So the future of Go at Dropbox. Every new engineer that joins Dropbox writes Go first. I think that's pretty exciting. If you join infrastructure at Dropbox, you'll write Go first. A lot of people will say, oh, I've never written Go before. I'm like, well, you have now, like in your first week, which is pretty exciting. And other languages that we have are Python, and we have like a few lines of Rust. People often ask me about Rust. There's just a few lines of Rust for Magic Pocket, but there's a lot of Python for our product engineering teams as well. And we'll continue to build infrastructure services in Go. Many experienced engineers will join Dropbox and write Go in production for the first time. That's happening all the time at Dropbox now, which is really exciting to me. We have new engineers joining every 2 weeks. And we have many offices: New York, Seattle, San Francisco, Dublin, Tel Aviv. We have offices all over the world. And interns, new grads, boot campers, and we also do role transfers. We've had people transfer from being program managers to becoming SREs, and they're writing Go as well. So they'll write Go for the first time too. Thank you so much for having me, and if you have any other questions, I'm really happy to answer. Thank you.